Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is Sky News Australia reporting this, but I think he actually did get to sit down with this dude, that Chris Holland, the senator from Maryland. It says Democrat senator denied a meeting with alleged MSN, or I keep saying MSN like MSNBC, MS-13. It might as well be whatever MS means, Microsoft. I don't know what it means. Uh, MS-13 member after flying to El Salvador. Now, let's look at the comments first, because that's usually an indication of where people's head is. It says, imagine if this guy cared this much about American citizens and women's sports. Uh, why has he not gone to Gaza to demand the American hostage be released? The level of arrogance of flying to another country and demand they hand over one of their citizens. It says, I'm very proud of uh, President Bukele for cleaning up his country and protecting his people. When is the last time you saw a senator go this far for an American? That's true. And how is he a Maryland man when he wasn't born in America? I haven't seen the Democrats this mad since the slaves were freed. Oh my gosh. And this is the kind of crap Elon Musk is trying to put a stop to, mindless misuse of taxpayer money. Um, and this right here, this probably tops it off. It says, what a blatant slap in the face to all American citizens, regardless of your political views. This man is atrocious. So he went all the way to El Salvador. And at the time, probably when this was loaded, he hadn't had a chance. I think they actually denied him the ability to sit with this Abrego dude, whatever. But since then, it shows that he did at least get to sit down with them. Doesn't mean that he's going to get the release of this guy. I mean, I'm sure there will be more litigation on this, but that's why I was trying to pull up like these documents. I loaded them up in the other video and then this one as well. Anyway, so y'all can go in there and look at them if you like. Let's go ahead and listen to this numbnuts talk, and then we'll go from there, because this is so ridiculous that you have somebody on our taxpayer dime going to El Salvador to fight for an illegal alien who was here illegally. But let's look at it.
I saw the comments of President Bukele, and I look forward to meeting with him. I've requested to meet with him. I reached out to the ambassador here to ask to meet while he's here. But I've also made clear, if we can't meet here, I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained, a Maryland man who's the father of three in a notorious prison in El Salvador. And I believe the president of El Salvador will recognize why it's important to allow him to return to the United States of America, because it is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador.
Oh my gosh, stupid. It says U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen was denied a visit with an alleged MSNBC MS-13 gang member after flying to El Salvador on Wednesday. Yep. At the time, I think he was denied it. I think he has since was able to sit with him, because there's pictures of it like on Instagram. It says Van Hollen flew to San Salvador to meet Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was deported to El Salvador's mega prison. And then Garcia currently sits in the Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, for, it probably should be like TCOT, but whatever. For, maybe it's a Spanish way of saying it, for being an alleged member of MS-13 despite his lawyers disputing the accusation. Yeah, this is basically what they look like in there. Looks like a bunch of upstanding citizens. It says the Maryland senator met with El Salvador's Vice President Felix Augusto Antonio Loa Garay, due to President Nayib Bukele being out of the country. It says Van Hollen's meeting with the El Salvadorian VP in the end yielded nothing, with the senator being denied a meeting with Garcia. It says, I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia, and he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. It's a terrorism center. You really want to go in there? But we know this is just a publicity stunt for this jackass. I'm sorry, that's what he is. It says Van Hollen revealed, hold on, to Aloya, I don't know how you say this name. He did not wish to tour the mega prison, only meet with the alleged gang member. Alleged gang member. He said he was not able to make that happen. Yeah, I mean, the president's out, the vice president, I mean, he may have some ability to do it, but he doesn't have to let you do it. You should have not just come to their country thinking you're going to bulldoze your way in. Like I said yesterday on my other video. Like, you can't just go to another country. And that's the thing. Like, somebody was even pointing out, he's violating the Logan Act. He's almost like trying to affect foreign policy on behalf of America. That's not how this works, dude. There's channels that have to be followed. There's a chain of commands. President Trump is ahead of you, dude. Way ahead of you. How many people ahead of you? You can't just go around just doing whatever you want. I mean, you know, if he wanted to do this on his own dime, it wouldn't look so bad. But to me, it looks even worse because he's trying to use our taxpayer dollars to fly to a foreign country to affect their policies and whatever negotiations with America. That's what I see it as. Maybe I'm wrong. He's a Democrat, so he'll get away with it. It says the Democrat reportedly asked the El Salvadorian VP if he could meet Garcia next week, with Ulloa, I don't know, again denying Van Hollen a meeting. He doesn't have to do that. That would need to be something that would have to be facilitated or like worked out with the president. I mean, I'm sure he can't just make those kinds of decisions, even if he's in the acting role because the president's out of the country. He would still want to consult with his commander in chief if that's how their government's set up. But yes, the president, vice president, you got to make sure you discuss it with the cabinet members that are involved in this. You can't just make unilateral decisions like this idiot leaving United States, leaving his constituents behind. I mean, think about this. He's fighting harder for somebody that was living in his town or whatever, his city illegally, or his state illegally, than he did for Rachel Morin, the girl that was killed by an illegal. Oh man, this guy's infuriating. What a jackass. I hope he loses his spot. It says the vice president then explained to Van Hollen that the prison cannot arrange a phone call between Garcia and him or the prisoner's wife. I think is what it said. Van Hollen has slammed the Trump administration over Garcia's removal, calling him his imprisonment unjust. He's an illegal. We can send him where we need to send him. He needs to go back to his country. Let's see. It says, I'm going to keep pressing. I will keep pressing in my remaining time here, and I will keep pressing beyond that if necessary. Yeah, and I hope you lose your job over it, too. He should be kicked out of Congress. It says White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt spoke about Van Hollen's El Salvador visit during press briefing on Wednesday. I wonder if she ripped into him for it. I hope there's something that they can legally do to this jackass. It says Levitt blasted the Democrat senator's attempt to free Garcia while she was joined by Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin. They misspelled the Morin. I don't know which way you spell it.
Today, we have officially learned Democrat officials still refuse to accept the will of the American people. Maryland Democrat Senator Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars to demand the release of deported illegal alien MS-13 terrorists. The Democrats and the media in this room have continually and wrongly labeled Kilmar Abrego Garcia as a Maryland father. There is no Maryland father. Let me reiterate. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist who was deported back to his home country. And when Kilmar Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Abrego Garcia was also arrested with two other well-known members of the vicious MS-13 gang. And two separate judges found that Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, and that finding has never been disputed. And just this morning, it was revealed through Maryland court documents that Abrego Garcia's wife petitioned for an order of protection against him for two instances of domestic violence in May of 2021. And here is the order right here. The court ordered that the respondents committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. So not only are Democrats rushing to defend an illegal criminal foreign terrorist gang member, but also an apparent woman beater. To set all of that aside, the basic fact that he was illegally inside our country and had a lawful deportation order made him subject to removal back to his home country of El Salvador. And if he ever ends up back in the United States, he would immediately be deported again. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again. And the United States Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the President of the United States and the Secretary of State could not be compelled to forcibly retrieve this citizen of El Salvador who is currently locked up in a maximum security prison in his home country due to his MS-13 membership. It's appalling and sad that Senator Van Hollen and the Democrats applauding his trip to El Salvador today are incapable of having any shred of common sense or empathy for their own constituents and our citizens.
So it says Rachel Morin was from Maryland, Van Hollen's district, and a mother of five who was murdered by an illegal immigrant. I think she was also a grandmother too. That's pretty wild. I mean, but she's got 5 kids, so they're probably, I don't know, little kids all the way up to like obviously maybe marrying age, who knows, young adults. Oh. During her appearance at the White House press briefing, Patty slammed Van Hollen for not protecting American citizens. Yeah, I mean, if these people would fight as hard as they do for these illegal immigrants, man, this country would be so great. I mean, you would not feel a certain amount of, like, you despise Democrat lawmaker, like the congressional members, because they do everything that is such in opposition to what is best and positive and good for the United States, like their own citizens. Like, these people do not belong here, a lot of them. Yeah, I mean, if you do it the right way, I don't have a problem with somebody coming here. Do it the right way. Go through the immigration process. Get, learn some American history through it. I mean, that's what they used to do. I don't know now. I probably wouldn't pass an American history test, but hey, I mean, I've got a lot of other information. So, but I'm just saying, learn to somewhat assimilate, learn a little English, just enough to get around, you know, keep your culture, but don't try to override our culture. I'm saying the United States, just adapt. If we had to go to another country, we would have to adapt. That's just how it works. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to survive there. Duh. But anyway, I'm just saying that we need people that are willing to come here and they will assimilate into our, not necessarily, not that you're forgetting your culture, but you're gonna assimilate enough to interact with people in your community, and then you can go back to doing whatever you want in the privacy of your own home. Obviously, I think the only flag we should be flying is our American flag and your state flags, but none of this other stuff. No, I don't think so. Because then that just shows that, that other country's superior to ours. But hey, if it's so great, then go back to where you come from. And I'm just being honest. It's just the way that it is. I mean, wherever it is, if you want to fly another flag, you do that in your house, not like out in the open, because this is America. That flag is our flag.
A lot of you don't know the whole story about Rachel. And that's the only reason why I have taken and spoken about Rachel all this time. If you're a mother here in the room, can you imagine
No.
standing there alive? You're alive. And someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart.
Oh my God.
That's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you. You can't even describe the pain.
No.
Just like you can't describe to your husband what it feels like to carry a baby in your womb. Why are we not protecting the American citizens? It's just common sense. Why are we not protecting?
Because Democrats hate Americans. They hate Western society. They have this Marxist, socialist, communist ideology that they're trying to seep into America. But we've obviously rejected it almost wholeheartedly, except for the outliers. But obviously, the ones that are screaming the most are the ones that probably are practicing these things. But I mean, it's just like they don't care enough about American citizens because it's all about just them grabbing onto power and stuff and then trying to do things for the collective. I mean, it's just the craziest thing. I don't know. This whole ideology just doesn't make sense. But to me, ultimately, I think it's because they do hate America that much. They want to change us so drastically that they're willing to do anything to do that. And if that means, basically living in the twilight zone, that's what they would rather us live in. Almost like everything's topsy-turvy, upside down, killers and murderers and just the criminals are exalted, victims are, humiliated or whatever you want to call it. It's like they're the ones that get blamed and that kind of crazy nonsense. I mean, it's just totally backwards. But it's also in anything that's like to fight against Trump is what you see that the Democrats are approving of right now. It's the nuttiest, most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand it at all.
Our children. And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador
to fight for a
to
criminal.
Bring back someone that's not even an American citizen.
That's sick. That's
Why
so
does
sick.
that person had more right than I do
That
or
your
my
daughter did. Yeah.
or my grandchildren. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, I'm gonna stop it right there. It's only like 7 or 8 seconds left. But let's look at, so apparently this deal we did get to do. It says Senator Chris Van Hollen met with the deported illegal alien MS-13 member instead of the family of his constituent Rachel Morin, who was slain by an illegal alien. And your thoughts. Here is, let me open this up. There's him with this dude in El Salvador. Obviously, I didn't get to bring him home, but let's see. It says in the last days, good will be called evil and evil called good. Yep, exactly. Isaiah 5:20. That's why I say it's like the Twilight Zone. We live in an opposite world. It says, what's the punishment for negotiating with terrorists again? Arrest this loser. Senator Chris Van Hollen met with the deported illegal alien MS-13 instead of his family. Thoughts. Remember Rachel Morin, and then Morning News, whatever. Low life scum, and the MS-13 member is really bad too. Completely disgusting. Mislead and wrong Democratic leader. What else is new? Sorry, he's a traitor to the American people. He belongs in hell. R.I.P. Rachel. I didn't see him going to Gaza or Russia to fight for American citizens being held there. It says gazing lovingly into the eyes of an illegal, violent MS-13 member on taxpayer dime is disgusting. Chris Van Hollen, I didn't want you to miss this. And he's probably the example of a Democrat, anti-American, and hates Americans. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, you look so stupid going there. It makes me ashamed to say once I was a Democrat. Not, it says in the demon rat party, these people are sick. And then it says Rachel Moore will never be forgotten. And this person says sick too. Let's go back. So there's that. It says, fixed it for you for the New York Times. It's, oh, and by the way, Chris Van Hollen, he's not coming back. It says the New York Times, a senator meets with deported MS-13 illegal alien in El Salvador and who's never coming back. That's what the title of it should have been. It says Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland met in El Salvador with Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, the man who was wrongly deported by the Trump administration last month. They met hours after the senator said he had been denied access to the prison where Mr. Garcia had been held. It says, my message to Chris Van Hollen, oh, this is Patty Moore, says, why does this illegal immigrant have more rights than my daughter Rachel did? You represent me as the U.S. Senator from Maryland, and you have barely even acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured because of another illegal immigrant. Why are you using my tax money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen? It says, holy shit, El Salvador President Nayib Bukele is trolling Democrats so badly. I absolutely love it. It says, now it's time to impeach Senator Chris Van Hollen. Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. And then Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't get over this cough, y'all. Okay, it says disgraceful. 35 senators voted against the Lake and Riley Act to arrest criminal illegal aliens. All 35 nay votes were Democrats. Who was one of those votes? Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen. What a traitor. Of course, it would go, yeah, this is sick. These people need to be taken out of their positions. I hope they get voted out as soon as we can have those elections wherever, whenever, says Senator Chris Van Hollen. And then here's this jerk. He says, I said my main goal of this trip was to meet with Kilmar tonight. I had that chance. I'd called his wife Jennifer to pass along this message of love. I look forward to providing a full date update upon my return. Let's see if there's any comments in here. Let's see, because if it's on his page, he's probably going to be in favor of this. It says, imagine being a United States senator and sitting down with an illegal alien gangbanger, woman beater, as if he's made or he is a Medal of Honor recipient. That's Tommy Laren, I think. And then Gunther Eagleman, hey dipshit, I'm almost positive you have violated the Logan Act. Have fun dealing with the consequences, all for a stunt that does nothing but waste tax dollars. Hope you end up in prison for it. It says you can update Americans that you're an effing traitor upon your return. Ask his wife about the abuse she endured. You love MS-13 thugs and hate Americans. That's exactly, he's a traitor. Okay. Then we looked at this, I think, yesterday or the day before. It says whoever. So this is the 18 USC 2381. It says treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be in prison not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. Repost if you think this needs to be enforced. Yeah? Oh, yeah, I think this was Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen refused to acknowledge a Maryland mother murdered by a legal alien in his state, but flies to El Salvador to meet with a legal MS-13 gang member and his wife beater. Congratulations, Democrats. Party of illegals, MS-13 gang members, and wife abusers. And then let's see what this says. It says Kilmar Abrego Garcia had a history of violence and was not the upstanding Maryland man the media has portrayed him as. It says, according to court filings, Garcia's wife sought a domestic violence restraining order against him, claiming he punched, scratched, and ripped off her shirt, among other harm. Oh, this is the actual court filing. This is interesting. I may just put this in the thing if you can blow it up for yourself to read it. I guess you'd have to download it and then try to. Yeah, I was watching on my laptop and he yelled to turn it off. I told him I wasn't sleepy. He got angry. Wow. Something reached over, shut, and threw my laptop onto the floor. And the baby started to cry because he was putting pressure on him. Something. My immediate reaction was to push him off of us. And he then punched, scratched me on my left eye, leaving me bleeding. That same day at 2 p.m., he came home to say he was going out with a friend. I told him that I needed to go out to pick up some orders of BJ's. He got angry, started yelling again. Something to the pant. I can't really see what that is. That he ripped my shorts and shirt off. Wow. I ran to the bathroom. Wow, he seems like a real upstanding guy. Anyway, I'm going to keep this one. This particular one. If I can. Let me see. Well, let me see if it'll let me keep this one. That way y'all can try to look at it later. Anyway, doesn't seem like he's the best guy. They're not sending their best. It says, are the despicable, disgusting, demonic Democrats and their media propagandists getting paid by the drug and human trafficking cartels, or they work in pro bono? It says a tale of 2 different illegal immigrant cases. Rachel Morin killer trial coverage, 0 minutes. Maryland man wrongly deported coverage, 64 minutes, 57 seconds. It says, refuse to stand for Laken Riley, console a wife-beating gangbanger. Yeah. And I think with that, you can obviously see this guy is just a horrible, horrible person. This says not a citizen, illegally entered the country, MS gang member, FTO, whatever that means. Arrested for human trafficking, beat his wife twice, ordered by two immigrant judges to be deported, was deported to his home country. He's not coming back. It says, guys, pray day that your wife looks at you the same way. I guess he's saying pray for the day that your wife looks at you the same way that Senator Chris Van Hollen looks at an MS-13 terrorist who beats the crap out of his wife. And with that, you see this guy's just doubled down on the lunacy again. I mean, he got to meet with him, and look at how he's staring at him lovingly. I mean, obviously, this was just some kind of a political stunt, but the optics are really, really bad right about now. So that means we got him approving of illegal aliens, which we already knew that. They wanted open borders, men and women's sports. I mean, just all the crazy lunacy that we're seeing. The criminals are, praised, victims are blamed. It's just, I mean, anything to just be opposite of anything good for America. But yes, just showing y'all what we're up against, the evil that's in the world. But anyway, I'll try to get maybe 15 loaded up of the JFK files. I thought I was going to get to it yesterday, but I took the dog for a walk and, just was relaxing for the afternoon. But I also had to take the car in. That was the other reason why I didn't do it. But yes, y'all have a good afternoon. I like doing these videos. I think it's kind of interesting to look at a lot of the comments too, because I want to see what other people are saying. Just to make sure I'm not on the wrong side of this. But yeah, like as far as looking up the actual Supreme Court filings and all that stuff. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. See y'all around. Bye.